Howdy folks, it's Gray Hawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. It's that time again. It's beer 30. Let's go. So, for those of you that are new to this segment, this is where I have a random craft beer, and we talk a little bit about beer. You can comment below about beers that you've been trying that you might think that I might like or my other viewers might like, etc. We talk a little bit about beer. I test this one. Let's see here. This is Kiwanda Pre-Prohibition Cream Ale by the Pelican Brewing Company. And so we'll do that, and then we talk about one random gaming topic that is in the news. And today's gaming topic will be that Dungeons & Dragons got inducted to the Toy Hall of Fame yesterday. So let's give this one a shot here. That is definitely a Pilsner or lager flavor, type ale. It's light in color, obviously. It has a little bit more depth of flavor than your average light beer would have, and it has it's a little bit stronger in alcohol content. Let's see here. You can definitely tell that. It's 5.4% by volume. And this Pelican Brewing is on the Oregon coast, in case you're wondering where they're from, at the Oregon coast. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a decent beer. I drink mine usually, most of my beers I drink room temperature. The lighter ones I like them cold, and for some reason I didn't refrigerate this one, so I wish I would have. But it's still quite delicious. So if that's your style and you're on the West Coast somewhere, you'll probably be able to find that. So let me know your thoughts on if you've tried it or whatever. Now, on to the topic of the day. Dungeons and Dragons, and this is the example that they show when you go to the Toy Hall of Fame page where they've shown their inductees, the newest inductees. They show this right here, this version of Dungeons and Dragons, and I can't say enough good about the game Dungeons and Dragons, and I think it's definitely overdue for being inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Toy Hall of Fame. Now, where there's a little bit of controversy that comes out is that, as an example, I frequent a website called FARK, FARK.com, and a lot of you probably know it. It's a fairly well-known, well-used news aggregator site. It's basically Reddit before Reddit was Reddit. Reddit wasn't even an idea when FARK started. So you have your news stories, and then everybody can comment on them on the right-hand side. You can click, and then you can add your comments and so forth and so on. So yesterday, that's where I read about this initially, that it be D&D being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I was surprised because as I went into the comments, how many people were arguing that it didn't belong because they didn't consider it a toy. And so I decided that I would look up the definition real quick. Number one, according to what the criteria is for the Toy Hall of Fame. And it says, in short here, it says, final selections are made on the advice of historians, educators, and other individuals who exemplify learning, creativity, and discovery through their lives and careers. And And it says here, and then it says the criteria is it recognizes toys that have inspired creative play and enjoyed popularity over a sustained period. So there you have it, that have inspired creative play and enjoyed popularity over a sustained period. If you don't think that Dungeons and Dragons meets those two criteria, I'd like to know what does. Because D&D, as I commented on FARC, as I added my 2 cents, this game has inspired more creative people, directors, video game designers, artists, comic book creators, authors, etc., etc., to create additional worlds for us to enjoy. We wouldn't have World of Warcraft. We would not have EverQuest. We would not have Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls and Game of Thrones, because G.R.R. Martin has mentioned that he played D&D way back in the 80s and so forth, and that was one of his inspirations. And there's many, many, many others, that have been influenced by the game to create other creative works. And then I went a little further on to look up on Merriam-Webster full definition of toy. And one of the options is something as a preoccupation that is paltry or trifling, a literary or musical trifle or diversion. Once again, that fits the criteria. So there you have it. That is my argument for saying as to why, without question, it deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I would like to know your opinions on that, especially if you've been playing for quite some time. I have been playing for 40 years, and it has inspired me to do other creative things. It is one of the main reasons that I do a YouTube channel. It is one of the things that I rely on when I am working at a job and I am facing some type of situation, scenario, whatever, and I always catch myself going back and going, this is just kind of, I kind of just daydream for a second and go, yeah, this is kind of like in D&D, where you've got to, you have an obstacle in front of you and you've got to figure out how the hell are we going to get past this or through this or defeat it or whatever. And I catch myself and I kind of giggle at work sometimes. I'll be, so here I've got this thing I've never encountered, whatever this scenario is that I'm dealing with. And I go, yeah, here I am. It's like being an adventure, and I got to figure out how the hell am I going to fix this, because I do maintenance and stuff, and how am I going to solve this problem to get the mission accomplished. And I think it makes me giggle sometimes. So because that's how I kind of approach challenges. Sometimes I think of it that way. So in any case, cheers. I hope you are having a nice, refreshing beverage on this wonderful Veterans Day. Oh, and if you are watching this on Veterans Day and you are a veteran, Mike Merles, who is the head guy for Dungeons and Dragons with Wizards of the Coast, he tweeted out that that if you're a veteran today and you're playing, say, 5th edition or whatever, any edition that uses advantage as a mechanic, that you get 1 free advantage roll if you're a veteran today, if you're playing. And I replied to his tweet, kind of jokingly, of course, and I said, thanks, Mike Merles, but did you forget that as veterans, we are badasses and thus create our own advantages? And so I'm sure he knew that it was a joke and whatnot. So I thought it was funny. So anyway, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Enjoy.